Hello and welcome to Black Bear Atheist. Today we're gonna check out more of Frank Turek, and we're gonna see him answer some questions from the legend Cody. In the last video, I point out of how Frank really danced around in questions and never answer. But there's one guy that really tried to put his ass to the fire and try to have him answer this question. Today we're gonna check him out. In my own opinion, this guy is a legend, a legendary college student atheist. Yes, I believe that's what you can call him. So today we're gonna check out Cody.
Dr. Turek, I'm only asking if you would murder your wife or children to prove your devotion. It's a simple question.
I don't know what would happen.
I agree. It's a simple question. Answer.
And by the way, when God decides that someone should die, it's not murder for him.
Dr. Turek, God commanded you to murder your wife or children to prove your faith in God. Is your current devotion not enough to prove your faith? Must you murder your children as Abraham was instructed?
First of all, I don't know what I would do.
This is a simple yes or no question, Doc.
I don't know what I would do in Abraham's position.
By no surprise, he couldn't give an actual straight answer. The answer is obviously, it should be yes. It should be yes. And yes, he did answer this question later on when someone asked him. When I think he may be the one to ask someone. I don't know. It's one of my last videos that I did. Saying if God asked you to sacrifice your son, would you do it even though if you know he's gonna resurrect that son? And the atheist answered obviously no. And apparently this was a problem. This is a video that I did on Frank and by the Book of Minister. You could check that out. That's an issue. They are apparently okay with it. During this time, apparently he doesn't want a straight up answer.
Position. That's a good question. You know who really struggled with that? Soren Kierkegaard, who wrote a book called...
Is your faith strong enough to murder your
Hold
own
on,
children
Cody,
or wife?
I'm thinking, and since I'm from New Jersey, it's really hard for me to do, so give me a minute. The book is called Fear and Trembling by Soren Kierkegaard. So I don't...
These people really think they're like the geniuses and really, really smart. You could see this across all the apologetics. They act like they actually control the situation when they're obviously just lying. Answer the question, would you kill your wife and children when God commands you to do so? The answer to technically should be simple. And yes, it's a yes or no question. And guess what he's going to do? Dance around.
I don't know what I would do, just like I'm never going to say if somebody put a gun to my head or a gun to my wife's head, what would you do? Because Peter tried that. I'll never deny you, Lord. And what did he do?
He denied him 3 times. Yes,
Yeah.
at the
So,
crucifixion.
I don't know what I would do, okay? But let me point out, if your friend is an atheist, there's nothing wrong with God doing anything because by atheism, there's no standard of right and wrong anyway. So in order for you to bring up the objection, you're actually stealing a standard from God.
See how it's making this like some kind of big moral question. It's a yes or no question. He's not saying something is wrong with it. He's saying, what would you do? Would you actually sacrifice your children and your wife? Would you?
God in order to try and say God doesn't exist.
Dr. Turek, I'm only asking if you would murder your wife or children to prove...
See what I mean by putting his ass on fire and pressing on? Asking the same question and now diverting into some moral question, which wasn't really the question that was being answered.
Prove your devotion. It's a simple question.
I don't know what would happen. And by the way, when God decides that someone should die, it's not murder for him. Because God kills all of us at some point. And
he's saying, would you kill your wife and children? Not necessarily God, but when God commands you to do so.
he's the only one that can resurrect us. So we don't have the right to murder people, but God has the right to kill people anytime he wants. He can strike me down today, tomorrow, anytime he wants, and it's completely in his prerogative.
God has the right to slaughter the Amalekites down to the last man, woman, and child
God has the right to take us out anytime we want, because if Christianity's true, men don't really die, we just change location.
This is how insane it goes, people. This is how insane you go. When you get deep into this dumb religion, this is how deep you go. You get suicidal because you want to meet God. You want to get there as soon as you can. And you get crazy. When God kills people, it's actually not murder. It's, it's just relocating. If Christianity, like, shut up. Shut up. Must I mention these people are relocating into hell because they never believe in this God? They're not relocating to a good place. They're relocating to hell because they never believe. And isn't this God supposed to be forgiving and loving? What's the point of making these people when you're gonna in the future you're gonna end up killing them and wipe them all out? Does that make any sense? And don't talk to me about free will, because you already know it was gonna happen and you already know he was gonna wipe them out, even with free will and without. So why in the world would he make them to begin with, just to wipe them all out? Talk to me about God being moral. Don't talk to me about, because he made us, he could just... So because you make your children, you can just kill them anytime you want? Like, shut up, Frank. That doesn't make any sense.
And God can do that anytime he wants. So thank you for your question.
It did not answer the question, people. Stop clapping. Why are Christians so like this? It did not answer the question, people. Why are you clapping? What are you clapping for? What are you celebrating? God can kill you anytime he wants to. Then what's the point of making you?
It is stunning to me that Massacre and Genocide gets applaud in this building.
I agree, Cody. It is very, very concerning too. Like, are these people insane or insane? Just because God commands you to kill people doesn't mean you should do it. Well, these people will say it's moral. It's okay, because they're going to go to heaven. But actually, based on the New Testament, they're going to hell. Whether you're a child, whether you're a newborn baby or not, you're going to hell. Because according to the beliefs, you're born with sin to begin with. So automatically, you're signed on to hell.
God
Cody,
demands slaughter, massacre, and genocide.
All right, Cody, there's nothing wrong with genocide if atheism's true.
Yes, there is, dumbass. Yes, there is. There is everything wrong with genocide if atheism is true. Because you're wiping out an entire population of people that don't want to be wiped out. You don't want to commit genocide because you also could be genocide one day, which is something you don't want to do. That's why it is very important to stop things like that. Is it really that hard for these people to get common sense? The golden law, do as to others as you want done to yourself. This is something that did not develop through religion, developed through common sense. Of people understanding that to survive, you actually need people. Genocide goes against biology. It goes against common sense. It goes against human nature. Because we understand that we need a community. And just killing people does not help us at all. If everybody start genociding each other, we will not survive.
Are you serious?
If atheism's true, there is nothing wrong with genocide.
I am an atheist and I oppose genocide in every every way.
But that's just your personal opinion, because there's no standard beyond you which says it.
I'd rather have a subjective opinion of a subjective morality than an objective morality. And as far as we do know, we have a subjective morality, which society runs on a subjective morality. Even if you say, oh yeah, it comes from God, it's still subjective to God. So when God say kill everyone, it's somehow moral to just kill everyone, which is not true.
It's wrong.
The standard that says is correct, that I will help my fellow human up to and including you, especially you, doctor, that I would never harm anyone in this room.
Okay, I'm glad.
Atheism.
Cody.
Are you suggesting that atheism allows or purports or wants genocide?
Atheism,
I know you wouldn't say. You would never say that.
Yes, atheism does allow it. You can ask Mao. You can ask Stalin. You can ask Pol Pot. Because if there is no effect.
I won't even consider these people atheists, and even if you do consider them atheists, let me point this out. They were not killing people for atheism. That wasn't what was happening. On the other hand, when people commit genocide in the Bible, they were doing it for God.
Authority beyond the government, they are God.
I could not possibly agree. I could not possibly disagree that those people were atheists. But as Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens would both argue, as you well know, none of those people slaughtered millions in the name of atheism. There are countless millions.
All right, Cody, this isn't a debate, okay?
I know.
I thank you for being here.
Doc.
But let me deal, because Cody, I love talking about this stuff, but there's a line of people behind you, and
so that's basically what happens when someone put his ass to the torch. He just sends them away. A classic Frank Turek way of doing shit. So now we're gonna have him answer the question about the Canaanite, and we're gonna see what he has to say.
And so we can't keep going back and forth, but I do want to answer your question about the Canaanites.
Is God immoral for massacre, slaughter, and racism and slavery?
Cody, look, we don't have time to deal with all those. Trust me, I have slides for every one of them, okay? Let me just deal with the Canaanite one, if you'd be so gracious as to sit down.
I would be so gracious. Thank you, Doctor.
And I'll deal with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right, thank you. So, as I just mentioned, with the Canaanite issue, if there's no God, why would any Old Testament atrocity be wrong? But Cody is correct about this. He has a fair point to ask me, despite the fact
it's not objectively wrong to kill people. It's subjectively wrong to kill people. And let me explain. The universe, really, nothing really is stopping you from killing others. Oh, you're going to hell for eternity. There's actually no evidence for an afterlife, so you can kill people. But it's stupid to do so. Because if you kill people, then you're gonna also get yourself killed. Ultimately. And there's very few people that don't care about that, which is, like psychopaths. They're anomaly in society. What we want is to protect life. What we want is to help each other out. So, the idea that it's okay, even in an atheist, in the point of view of an atheist, that it's okay to kill, it's really not. We're saying it's objectively not wrong to do so. There's no objective morality, as there's no evidence pointing to one. It's really subjective. You actually need to present evidence for your objective morality, because society, as far as we know, has been running on a subjective morality. You're the one claiming to be objective here, and you're not presenting any evidence for it. You're just saying it's in everyone's heart. Well, what happened to Hitler? Shouldn't he have had a heart attack if the laws are so written in his heart? It killed like 6 million Jews. What about then? Like, make some sense. If it's written in our hearts, shouldn't all the laws throughout time in different places be the same? Why are they different then? Why do in some society, in some time, even sacrifice is okay, and in other time, we find out to be disgusting and not in any way humane? It's not objective morality, Frank. And if you're claiming that there is, prove it.
The fact that he being an atheist has no objective standard by which to judge anything right or wrong. He is correct to ask me. You're saying you're...
Oh, must I mention that you can't really judge anything right or wrong even if you believe that, your objective morality comes from God, because God changes mind like every 2 seconds. So you technically can't judge whether something is right or wrong because God is changing his mind every 2 seconds. Oh, I want to make man to look like us. I want to make man so they could live their life and be happy, so we can love each other. Oh, I regret man. I regret making man. Let me wipe them all out. Oh, let me make man again. Oh, let me make them so prosperous. Oh, they're too prosperous and now they disobey me. Let me just kill them all. Let me send them to Babylon. Let me do this. Let me do that. He's changing his mind every 2 seconds.
God is a God of love, so why does he do such things? So that's a fair question, okay? All right. Secondly, though, is God arbitrary, or does he give reasons in the Old Testament for judging people? Because that's what it is in the Old Testament. It's judging. God is not a cosmic mafia boss. He doesn't wake up one day and say, Canaanites, I want them dead. No, there's a reason.
That's exactly what he did.
That he has decided to push the Canaanites out of the land, and it's because they've had 400 years of iniquity, including murdering their children, sacrificing their children on the molten hot metal god Molech. And it wasn't just the Old Testament that talks about this. The Greek writer Plutarch says that when the Canaanites would do this, the drummers in the town would pound their drums louder so the children or the parents couldn't hear the screams of their own children being sacrificed.
Also, must I mention that the Israelites also did like child sacrifice? I mean, the guy from Judges 11, child sacrifice. Jesus, human sacrifice. That's Christianity, not Jews. But there were times in the Bible where you could see that the child sacrifice or human sacrifice was allowed. So why would he not kill them and not kill his own people? You see how this does not make any sense? And if he hates child sacrifice so much, why would he kill his own child?
Also, I hear this quite a bit. Why complain that God doesn't stop evil, but then complain when he does? In other words, sometimes atheists will say, why didn't God?
In other words, shut up. The best way your all-knowing God can stop people from committing atrocious crime is by killing them all, including the children. Are you kidding me, Frank? Are you kidding me? When we say stop Hitler, we're not saying to stop Hitler and his entire family and kill them all, wipe their entire generation down from top to bottom. That's not what we're saying. We're saying stop Hitler from becoming Hitler, which God can do without even killing Hitler. God can do it without even killing Hitler, because he's an all-knowing God and an all-powerful God. That's what we are saying. We're not saying for him to wipe out the entire tribe of people to stop evil. I mean, what did their children do? A newborn baby. What did they do? Nothing really. They haven't done anything. But God command you to smash their head against a rock. That is insanity. And the fact that this is a thing, this is okay. People are trying to make sense of this. People are trying to make excuse for this stuff. It's insanity. There's no excuse for this. There's no setting where genocide is okay. Whether it's commanded by your invisible daddy or not, genocide is not okay. And the fact that people are listening to this guy talking about how genocide is okay because God gave them warnings. Ooh, God, gave them 400 years to fix their life. Ooh, God said, child sacrifice is bad, but sacrifice his own child. Ooh, that makes no damn sense, Frank.
Stop such and such a tragedy. Yet here, God sees that this culture is so degraded that he finally says these people must be stopped, and he sends the Israelites in to stop them, and now he
sent the Israelites to kill them all. There's a difference between stopping. There's a difference between stopping them and wiping out the entire tribe, wiping out the entire ethnic group. That is insanity.
Are complaining about it. And the question I always ask people is God committing murder by ending lives on earth? And the answer is no. God doesn't murder anyone. He can't murder anyone. He is the creator of life. He can resurrect it. Only people who are other creations can commit murder. When God ends somebody's life, it's not murder. And as I mentioned a minute ago, God has the right to usher people into the next life whenever he wants. Whether we're 82 or 2 years old, that's up to him. People never die, they just change location. And we also need to remember that the Old Testament theocracy was unique and temporary. It was not the ideal for all time, but the means to a promised new covenant. And the best book on this topic,
as I mentioned, the best, apparently the new covenant is God killing his own son, which is also him. Again, none of this makes sense, but let's go with the first thing that I said. God killing his own son. Isn't that child sacrifice? I don't care whether he volunteered for it or did not volunteer for it. It's still human sacrifice. That is not okay.
is by Paul Copan. Is God a moral monster? And Cody's actually bringing up good questions that Christians need to deal with. And Copan
Yes, it is.
goes through all of those issues. One is the Canaanites, another slavery, these kinds of issues. And you can get that book if you want to go further. But this is not genocide. It's actually judgment. Why? How do I know? Because God did the same thing to Israel.
God wiped out the entire Israel tribe. I didn't know that. How did they survive till today? And also, I do understand that the stories are fake. All of them are like not even real. The Israelites were part of the indigenous tribe of the Jews. Of the Canaanites. So it wasn't like they came from Egypt. That entire also story was fabricated. The idea is you all believe that your God did this. Which is, first of all, it shows how uneducated these people are about their own Bible. Next, it shows how terribly and immoral your God actually is. That's it for today. Have a great day. If you like the video, like and subscribe.